Today I'd like to talk about loneliness. Do you know anyone who has never been lonely? I don't. It's a painful and very unnatural human state, and it haunts all human beings from time to time. You see, our Creator God made us for relationship, and if we're not in relationships with other people, we can be abysmally lonely. We can even be lonely in a crowd. Many of the people I work with just don't trust anyone. They don't even trust themselves. And oftentimes they believe there's no hope for them to have relationships because, of course, relationships are built on trust. So sometimes they even halt their healing. The reason they halt the healing is because they don't want to be fully integrated. They don't want themselves to be just fully one, because they have socialized with themselves inside to cope with the terrible emptiness and loneliness. It's certainly very crucial for all of you to respect and be a good friend to yourself, for sure. But it's just you. We need other people. Other people bring the richness and the diversity and all those things that we don't have into our lives. The book Success is the Quality of the Journey by Jennifer James tells us that loneliness and solitude are both something we choose. Now, when I read that, I was shocked. I choose to be lonely? She says yes. And in this little book, I Like You Just Because by Albert J. Nemeth talks about loneliness. He says we're lonely because we fail to build bridges. He says the pity is lonely people are unhappy. If their thoughts turn inward, as they often do, they demean their own worth. They tend to exaggerate their deficiencies. What is worse, they tend to identify with their deficiencies. They lose confidence and self-esteem. Without these, life is unbearable. If their thoughts turn outward, they become embittered because they interpret their isolation as rejection by others. They bristle with ill will because they feel terribly threatened. One of their defenses is to become obnoxious, so people will keep their distance. In this way, there is less risk of harm by exposure. They alienate the very thing they want and need: people. No one wants to be lonely. No one needs to be doomed to a life of loneliness. It is possible to break out. And that's the good news I wanted to share with you today. Don't get me wrong, I get lonely just as other people do. For instance, if I find this horrible feeling is coming over me, I work at trying to figure out what have I been thinking? Because what we think is what we feel. I can, for instance, see a loving, affectionate couple strolling along the beach, and all of a sudden just be in self-pity and loneliness, right? So it's important to think, when we're feeling that horrible, empty feeling, what was I just thinking? You might have thought others will be with family and friends for the holidays or some important event, and you won't. And that brings on loneliness. I remember one grueling time. I was working on many policies and procedures. Now, for those of you who have not done that, you probably don't understand. But writing policies and procedures, even though it's very important and necessary and requires a good amount of skill and attention, can be very, very boring. And I had been at it for almost a month. I was so tired of writing policies and procedures. And so I thought, oh, I've just got to be with someone. I just feel so lonely. I've been isolated here, writing day and night. So I started calling people. Oh, so sorry, I don't have time. So sorry, we're already engaged tonight. Ring, 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 ring. Leave a message. After a while, it exhausted these people I can depend upon to be with. And I was entering into my little pity party and just out loud said, there's just nobody for me. And then that still small voice, will I do? Well, I want you to know I had one of the most wonderful evenings with the Lord. I wasn't lonely in the slightest. And that's the key. You see, He is always available to us. It doesn't matter where we are or what we're doing. He is with us constantly. Not only just with us, but He cares. He cares about what we care about. And perhaps more importantly, He can do something about what we care about because He's very involved in our lives. So I hope this is helping you to know how to overcome that nasty hump of loneliness. We will be writing some good articles, more in depth, on loneliness, causes for it, and ways to overcome it. So please check into our resource area on the website. So until next time, I look forward to being with you.